This is John Perivale with a follow-up Access Arts Live weekly roundup specifically for chamber music and recitals because there's so much going on. I could not fit all of this into the weekly roundup that I usually do and that I did yesterday at 6 o'clock European time, noon on the East Coast, and 9 in the morning on the West Coast because there just wasn't room for it all. So without turning into a 30-minute long live stream. And as we go along, if you have missed or the introduction to this has been chopped off, it's because although Restream does tell me it's hassle-free multi-platform live streaming, the multi-platforms don't all come online at the same time. So YouTube just came on and you missed the first 15 seconds. Anyway, once again, this is Access Arts Live, weekly roundup of chamber music and recitals. I want to get right to it because the first one is in a little over an hour. We're going to start out with the two recitals being put on this week in London by St. Mary's Perivale. The first one is with this great pianist, Neil Crossland. It's free of charge on YouTube. We will give you the link. It's at 2 o'clock PM London time, which is 3 o'clock European time, which is 9 in the morning on the East Coast and 6 in the morning on the West Coast. What time is it in Australia? It's 11 o'clock at night down under in Australia. Now, Neil is going to be playing some Vivaldi arranged by himself. It's Nisi Dominus, cum dederit. Okay. Just a 6-minute piece. He's also a composer, and he does concerts of his own compositions. Then he'll play Beethoven Piano Sonata in E flat, Opus 7. That's about 30 minutes long. And then he'll play his own. Oh my God! He'll be playing his own piano suite number 2, Opus 56, in the city. Just to tell you a little bit about him, he's a Yorkshire man. When he was at the Royal College of Music, he was already winning prizes in piano and composition. He's played at the Barbican, Albert Hall, St. John Smith Square, Wigmore Hall, St. Martin in the Fields. He's played all 32 Beethoven sonatas in a concert series at St. James Piccadilly, and he's played all over Europe. Now, it is now, at the time that I'm live streaming this, it's 1:38 European time. So let's see. It's almost, so it's that's going to be an hour and 20 minutes from now if you're watching this live. And if you're not, well, I just gave you the time. It'll be at it's 3 o'clock here in the rest of Europe, 9 in the morning on the East Coast and 6 in the morning on the West Coast, and it's absolutely worth tuning into. I love these concerts from St. Mary's Perivale. And then there's another St. Mary's Perivale concert on Sunday, which will be the Tomita Trio. And this is a family trio which is just bursting with talent and accomplishment already. It's 2 daughters, Coco Tomita and Yume Tomita, and their father, Kan Tomita, on the piano. They're violinist. This is Sunday at 3 in the afternoon UK time, which is 4 o'clock on the East Coast. I mean, in Europe, which is where I am. 10 in the morning on the East Coast and 7 a.m. And that's transcribed wrong in some of the stuff we're going to be handing out. 7 a.m. on the West Coast, and it's midnight in Australia. So you might want to tune in from Australia. They'll be playing Debussy's Violin Sonata in G minor, Prokofiev's Sonata in C for 2 violins, Opus 56, and César Franck's Violin Sonata in A. It's about a 1-hour concert altogether. Coco Tomita won the BBC Young Musician Award in the strings category back in 2020, which garnered her a debut album with Orchid Classics that got rave reviews from BBC Music Magazine, Gramophone Magazine, The Guardian. It was the Apple Disc of the Month. She's just had her 2nd album come out recently. Her sister, Yume. Sorry, I touched my computer and suddenly my notes jumped because I have the computer from hell. Her sister Yume was the grand prize winner. She spent a lot of time in Italy, and she's won prizes down there in Italy in different competitions, and played with the Cremona Mondo Musica in Italy, and with the Accademia d'Archi Arrigoni in Italy. And their father is an award-winning, well-known, internationally traveled pianist and chamber musician, described by a music magazine in Japan as a stunning performer with superb technical accomplishment and poetry. So that's what we have for you this week. And just a little over an hour, you can see the first one of Neil Crossland. I strongly recommend it to you. You know, it's free of charge. You know, and all of these concerts we're talking about today, with a few exceptions, which we will mark in the links, which we'll give you in the comment section, they're free of charge. These are like gold nuggets people are tossing out there online. If you love the classical music or the performing arts, and pick them up. Anyway, okay, so now I want to take you to in time the next time we have things for you in the way of chamber music and recitals is on Friday. And it's the St. David's Music Series in Baltimore, and they are featuring this week the Borisevich Duo. And the Borisevich duo, it's Nikita Borisevich. He's the violinist, and he's on the faculty at Peabody Conservatory, which we're going to do a whole other live stream about later today or tomorrow, because there's just so much they're doing this week. The pianist is Margarita Lukashenka. I will give you a link to who they are, so you can look up the duo. Margarita started at the Gnesin Music School in Moscow when she was 5 years old. They do that kind of thing there, and went to the Peabody Conservatory starting at age 16 already, and got her bachelor's and master's, and I think she just got her doctorate. And unfortunately, do I have their program in front of me? I don't, and I don't think they gave me the program. So, but it will be good. It's free of charge. That's on YouTube. If you log on to that on YouTube, if you log on to St. Mary's Perivale, look in the comments section and stop in and say, hello, Access Arts Live, because we may very well be watching. And if we're not, say hello, Access Arts Live anyway, so they know we sent you. Okay, then we move on this weekend to two concerts on Saturday being put on the Kennedy Center Millenium stage. And I have now discovered there's a whole ongoing series of concerts on the Millenium stage there. Now, many of them are not classical music, but all the ones that are of classical music, you will hear about from us. So you don't have to do the work to look them up. All you have to do is follow us on YouTube, which I strongly recommend, so that you get all of our notifications, because we do them during the week all the time too. We don't just have the roundups where we talk about everything. I pick out the best ones and I send you reminders. Okay, Kennedy Center Millenium stage, Saturday at 6 o'clock in the evening, Eastern time, 3 in the afternoon on the West Coast, midnight in Europe, and 8 in the morning, Sunday morning in Australia, is the Counterpoint, one of these Counterpoint concerts they do. Counterpoint is a collaboration in which they bring in various musicians from the National Symphony Orchestra. And the founder is a pianist named Natalia Kazarian. And a guy named Greg Burgess, who was the founder of the Grace Street Creatives. So, and this Counterpoint concert, it will be 2 violins, a flute, and a viola, a cello, and Natalia Kazarian on the piano. They're doing pieces by Bach transcribed for both traditional and contemporary instrumentations, because the Millenium stage is a multi-medium stage, so there's going to be some work performed on electronic keyboards. They'll be doing, it's all Bach. It's a Chaconne in D minor, the Brandenburg Concerto No. 5, Air on the G string from the Orchestral Suite No. 3 in D major, Toccata and Fugue in D minor, and the Sinfonia from Cantata No. 29. Show up or blow up for that. But and that's free of charge, and it's live streamed on YouTube. But also free of charge, live streamed on YouTube. At the same time, Saturday at 6 in the evening on the East Coast, 3 on the West Coast, midnight in Europe, and 8 in the morning Sunday in Australia, another concert from the Kennedy Center Millennium Stage North by a group called Matchbook Percussion. And I got a picture. I had a picture of Matchbook Percussion that I want to show you. That's these four guys. Igniting creativity, celebrating inclusivity, transforming the repertoire of percussion music. And there's more and more of that. We put out a special notice just the other day because the Shinhai classic the YouTube series, which I'm not even going to be able to include today in this. I'm going to have to do a separate one for that. It's exploding. There's too much. We put out a special notice because it was a percussion recital by this guy, and they live stream out of Korea, and it was extremely interesting. Matchstick Percussion, they're Maryland based. They some of the pieces that they underline that they're doing in their description is a new piece by Jordan Chase, Under the Aspect of Eternity. A world premiere of a piece by Delaney Molnar called When All Is Destroyed, May You Always Remember Where You Came From. Then all of the rest of the works they're doing by Joshua Mallard, Jamie Kohler, Tucker Johnson, Hans Hitchen, they were all commissioned by these guys. So this group, not only do they play the music, but they commission people to write it. And they're not the only ones doing this kind of thing. It is burgeoning all over the place with different groups being formed and then commissioning composers to compose the music they want. There's a string quartet whose name, a woodwind. What do they call? There's a woodwind group that I have them now on my Instagram page that they did a live stream not long ago. If my memory comes back now, I'll let you know about it. Anyway, then. From the Kennedy Center, now we move to the state of Washington. All right, and I've already been going on now for like 12 minutes, and I'm not done. I may be halfway done through everything I need to tell you about. Anyway, okay. The Harmonia Orchestra and Chorus does a concert called Salvation. That's Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. That'll be 10:30 on the East Coast. 4:30 in the morning in Europe, forget it. But lunchtime, 12:30 p.m. in Australia on Sunday. The concert is called Salvation. They're doing a piece that Bela Bartok wrote at the end of his life when he was all broken down, sick and impoverished. The Concerto for Orchestra. They're doing Samuel Barber's Prayers of Kierkegaard, which is a choral work. And they're doing an overture by Grażyna Baczewicz, the Polish composer, which is this sort of exultant overture that she composed in 1943 when the Nazis were all over her country slaughtering people. The soloist Cassandra Wilhak is from Shoreline, Washington, and I have a picture of her that I can upload for you. She's a local singer. This is not national reputation to tell you about something. Her at a church in the Washington area. If my computer ever stops giving me a circle turning around, gives me her picture, I'll put her picture up. But if she doesn't, we have to. Okay, so then after that, then the Puget Chamber wins. Is a chamber organization that folk classical era harmonia music is what they call it, like Mozart's Wind Serenades and other later compositions for similar. They'll be this is at 2 o'clock on the West Coast on Sunday, 5 o'clock on the East Coast, 11 o'clock in Europe, and 7 in the morning in Australia on Monday. They'll be playing Rossini extracts from Rossini's William Tell. They'll be playing Gustav Holst, A Somerset Rhapsody. They'll be playing some ballet music by Franz Schubert for the Rosamund ballet, and they'll be playing Mozart's Serenade number 11 in E flat major, Kershaw number 375 in the octet version, if you're keeping track of Kershaw numbers, an octet version. Then a little later on Sunday at 7:30 in the evening on the West Coast, 10:30 on the East Coast, 4:30 in the morning again in Europe, and lunchtime 12:30 in Australia. On Monday, the NOCO, the North Corner Chamber Orchestra in Seattle, is doing a concert called Captivate, free of charge on YouTube, this one as well, as is the one that I just referred you to. We give you all the links. They'll be playing Jesse Montgomery's Banner, Vaughan Williams' Fantasia on a theme of Thomas Tallis, and Mozart's Sinfonia Concertante for violin, viola, and orchestra in E flat major. They're playing that at the Town Hall in Seattle. I mean, there's just so much of this chamber music and such in the Washington area. Then we move back to New York for 2 more concerts, and then I think I'm wrapping it up. Also on Sunday, this is at 5 o'clock on the East Coast, 2 o'clock on the West Coast, 11 o'clock in Europe, 7 in the morning the next day in Australia on Monday morning, the Brooklyn Art Song Society. I'm not going to tell you much about them, but we'll give you the link so you can look them up. If you pay $10.99, you can get a monthly subscription. That'll be about 9 euros. Their concert is called Das Wort. They're playing Brahms' 4 ernste Gesänge, 4 serious songs, Pisnia, biblical songs, and Hugo Wolf's Spanische Liederbuch, which when it's a songbook, but it's a songbook of sacred songs. All of these works are inspired by the Bible, and they're very personal, exploring themes ranging from love to sin to redemption. And an hour beforehand, there's a pre-concert lecture, and I don't know if that is live streamed, but you might log on a little early and see if it is. And we wind up with my favorite band of online music merrymakers, the Gene Pritzker-led Composers Concordance, presenting the Ethel String Quartet, this time Sunday at 5 p.m. on the East Coast, 2 p.m. on the West Coast, 11 o'clock in Europe in the evening, and 7 in the morning in Australia. If I were going to recommend, other than the St. Mary's Perivale, which I strongly recommend, that Neil Crossland thing and the family string thing on Sunday, I would recommend checking out this concert, because Gene Pritzker, he's a guitarist who believes in crossing all the boundary lines between classical and electronic music and jazz and you name it. You know, he'll just cross those lines, and it drives some people crazy, but some people they love it. This concert, if you want me to tell you who the Ethel String Quartet is, okay. The New York Times calls them indefatigable and eclectic. The New Yorker calls them vital and brilliant. They have 10 feature albums out. They've guested on 50 other recordings. They won a Grammy Award with Kurt Elling, and they've toured with Todd Rundgren and Joe Jackson, whom I love. Anyway, so they're doing a concert which has a lot of new works in it. It's got a new work by Gene Pritzker called Emerging, which is based on music from the Native American Kiowa tribe. And a piece by Lynn Bechtold called Best Things Come to Those Who Act, based on the life of Maria E. Arosa. And then pieces by Sophie Dunaire, Alan Nekustan, Svetlana Bukovic, Dan Cooper, Lee McClure, and Dave Soldier. I don't personally know these people, but I guarantee you that the Composers Concordance is always giving you surprising new music. So you're hearing things you may never have heard before. That's the, okay, we finally got the picture of Cassie Wilcox, who's going to be singing in one of those concerts I mentioned to you, but there's so many of them I don't remember. And she's a staff singer at I think it's called the Redeemer Church. So they're in Seattle, Washington. You can tune on and hear her lovely singing free of charge, along with most of these others. I think the only one that cost anything, I told you what it cost. So 20 minutes worth of live chamber music and recitals, and I'm not done. I wasn't able to include the Shinhai classic music series, which, as I told you, they had this percussion guy on earlier, or like last week, and he was terrific. And they keep doing that, but I cannot say that it's necessarily on the same level of quality of these. And this also does not include a half a dozen chamber music recitals and live streams from the Peabody Conservatory at Johns Hopkins University, which is the oldest music conservatory in the country. I'm going to have to sign on now. I'm already at 20 minutes, and I don't allow myself to go longer than that. Most people won't even watch for more than a few minutes, but all the information is in there now, or except for the Shinhai and the Peabody, which is another dozen probably. And there's a lot of stuff that you can sample and enjoy free of charge. I encourage you to do it. I encourage you to add us on YouTube. So if you forget about any of these concerts, for the best of them, when I know they're coming up, I often jump online and either give a printed notice that we circulate so that our subscribers see it, or I'll do a brief live stream saying, hey, you don't want to miss this one. All right, that's it for this week's roundup of chamber music and recitals. Ciao for now. Show off or blow up. Bye.